January 26, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2002 chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is kind of what the chart looked like today. It looked like it was just maybe two legs up and then a very slow, very gradual, shallow rally up, but more likely just a sideways consolidation. Kind of how I drift the charts. So I tried to see if there was a bigger yellow up channel that fit, and it kind of looked like it did. And then at one time I was trying this gray channel, which kind of fit well at the time. And then later I drew this transparent channel, which really, well, I'll make it red for now, but which really didn't really help set up for anything. And overall, today was really slow and grinding. There was no real setups that I found worth taking, and there was just a lot of chop. Things took forever to set up, and it was just a no trade day. I don't really know why I would do that. The only thing I could think of is there is an FOMC rate decision coming on Wednesday, and usually the Monday and Tuesday before that day are typically very slow, but this is very noticeably slower. There was no economic data that came out to move the markets, and I can only maybe reach for the idea that potentially, since there's this big winter storm out over half the country on the east, middle to east coast, that maybe, I don't know, maybe things are just slow for that reason. But I'm getting to the setups right now, and well, let's just see. In the pre-market, it looked like it was a spike, break of this orange up channel, test the high, pretty much moved sideways, made another attempt up, pull back, break, and then it moves in this shallow orange up channel right into the open. I drew this yellow up channel later to see if it's, set up for anything, but this yellow up channel doesn't really help at this point. It just acted as a guideline, especially in hindsight, that, okay, well, prices are moving up, which isn't helpful because you already knew this is going to happen. Prices open. There was no clean second entries, as you can see in here, really worth taking. There is, you could argue, for a hidden second entry long right here, but this is a bad signal bar. And it's really not bouncing off the EMA. You'd have to trust this orange up channel, but trusting this orange up channel based against this terrible signal bar doesn't really leave a lot of room for confidence. Plus, this is just very tight trading. It could also be looking like it was in a range, something like right here. So no setup there. Pushes up, and this actually sets up for, I didn't really like it. I mean, I saw it in real time, but I was suspicious of it. And then in hindsight, I said, okay, maybe it was a trade there, but here it is. It's a break of this orange up channel, potential break of this yellow up channel, which I do have both established at this point when this sets up. It's a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long. So this is the signal bar for the second entry long, but it's terrible. But the following trigger bar pushes up, engulfs it completely. So it does look like it's two legs down. Break of this yellow, break of this orange needs to test the high. Decent signal bar is engulfing, and there's just enough room for a 1 point scalp. Actually, even maybe 2 points if you wrote it up through there. But I didn't like it, so I wanted to wait for a higher low. By the time I get this higher low here, I do have this blue range established, thinking they might be in a range. Go ahead and just, I was thinking potentially prices could be in a range and I'd be buying through the high. So didn't really like that. When prices started moving sideways, there really isn't no clean second entries because you could say localized high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long, the signal bar just doesn't look that good. I'm not the biggest fan of this. New low, first entry short, second entry short. The second entry short is actually inside to this guy, so I need a lower high. But you don't really get a lower high. It breaks out, starts reversing back up. There was no new news items, as I said, so I'm not really sure why this one spikes so aggressively. This is like 6 point candle, which is small on other days, but today it's considered kind of relatively big. Pushes up in this orange up channel, then it comes back down. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but up until this time, in real time, I don't really see this bouncing off of anything. And it could still be in this green down channel, so I don't really see a trade here. In order for me to want to take a long, I want to see a higher low. You get a higher low here, but it's a bad signal bar. Pushes back down. You get, looks like it's one leg down, pullback, a second leg, and this created a second entry long. But in real time, this second entry long, the signal bar isn't very good. I don't trust this gray up channel just yet because it's actually a third touch. The third touch I guess you could consider it a fourth touch because it'd be one touch, two touch, three touch, four touch. But I saw it as localized one, two, three attempts. The only way I would have considered marking as a possible trade is if this one closed at the high. It is a small signal bar risk of 6 ticks. Looks like it is 2 legs down. But other than that, I only have the key entry point of maybe this up channel, decent signal bar. This gray range doesn't exist yet. Looks like it's 2 legs down. I needed potentially a third touch test, and you don't really get anything like that. So I wish there had been a better signal bar. It might have tilted it in my favor. So when I saw this and it runs away, I thought, okay, there's an almost trade here looking for a higher low. You don't get a higher low. It hits the high side, comes back down, and it starts moving back down on the screen. Down channel break needs to test the low, localized low, first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Second entry short, I thought this is actually a possible trade because this one has it going that what's going for it is this break this green down channel needs to test the low. I was playing with a bunch of different kind of range highs, and at one time I was thinking this is the range high. So it's a fail breakout here, corresponding fail breakout here, got a rejection, potential triple multiple test, pushes down, decent signal bar. So I thought it was a possible trade here. I didn't act on it in time. And I was actually, when it moved by me, I thought, okay, well, I'll look for a lower high possibility. Lower high doesn't really show up. Pushes to the bottom of this potential low of the range, pushes up, break of the screen, up channel, pushes, test the high, and reverses down. Now you're going to see, I'm just going to fast forward my chart. These little arrows pointing down are all counter trend, but they all would have worked, but that doesn't help because even though they worked, it just happens to be that they all worked. And why I'm saying it's counter trend is clearly there's a push up. Prices are drifting upwards. Now, why I say why they're marked that way is because in real time I was thinking, is this kind of hitting the highs? Could there potentially be a second entry short? The problem with taking a short on a counter trend is you could be wrong. You're more likely to be wrong than right. Also, the signal bars, they all look iffy. On top of being iffy, it's a break of the new high. Since you're asking for a pushback down, it leaves you kind of in areas that sometimes are a little ambiguous. So this, you could argue for a localized, not localized, but range high, was a terrible signal bar. So you do have a technical count, new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Not the best signal bar, so you had to skip that. Don't even mark it. This is the lower high, but it's a green signal bar. I'm not really sure I like that. So it pushes back up. You do have a new high, first entry long, second entry long, terrible signal bar. Get a higher low here, but now you're coming into this potential range high, so you'd be buying into the range. Pushes up again, you have a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short in the technical count. Signal bar is a little bit better than this one. It's a failed breakout. Again, it's a counter trend trade. And each of these, I feel like I'd be picking the top, which isn't, I want to go with momentum and not try to time and pick out when I think a reversal or correction is going to happen. So unfortunately, there's no trade here. Pushes down on this channel, which I kind of drew and it never colored it in because it doesn't really set up nicely for anything. EMA throughout the day is pretty much no help at all because it's just prices are moving both above and below. So EMA is kind of taken out, especially at the end of the day when you look back, you go, okay, yeah, EMA wasn't reliable at all. So it pushes down, breaks through this gray up channel, and it starts pushing up. Break of this orange, test the high. Again, a really nice signal bar. So each of these signal bars are getting successively nicer or better, but they all run into the same problem. Okay, so there's a break, a test of the high, but I'm doing counter trend and I feel like I'm picking the top because each of these signal bars, all, well, except for this one, coincide with the high of day. So yes, you would be picking the top, but it just doesn't feel safe on a clearly bullish day, which counter trend. So it pushes down again. Wish this one had set up better. Always looking for a lower high, but never shows up. Bounces, starts moving. Looks like it's moving back into this gray up channel, but it doesn't fit that nicely anymore. So it's suspect whether this is going to be a reliable key entry point. So it starts moving sideways. You can localize high, first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long 1, 2, but visual first entry, second entry, but It's just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. EMA, as I said, isn't helpful, so I just kind of skipped it. Pushes the high, localized high, or swing high here. First entry long pullback. Second entry long inside bar to this. I'm not too keen on this. I do establish this blue trading range at this point, but it doesn't feel reliable, doesn't seem reliable. And then it kind of pushes, by the time it gets here, so it pushes into the close, right? So by the time it gets here, I've already looked back and I said, wow, this is kind of a junky, not much happening kind of day. Volume's low, price action is not the best. I'm not going to try to take a trade here, even in the last hour. My mind was just like, in a way, kind of fatigued from watching this slowly print out. You have a localized low, first entry short, second entry short, but this is just too late in the day, so it's kind of like an almost trade. And then it kind of pushes, well, sells off, bounces, and pushes into the close. Even the last 10-minute rally, excuse me, not rally, even the last 10-minute volatility, where you sometimes see it rally or sell off, it was just kind of muted, very slow. So I anticipate tomorrow could see something similar because tomorrow is the day right before the FOMC meeting, and a lot of traders, and I noticed in price action right before those 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, price action is really slow, very, well, for lack of a better word, junky, garbage trading. So hopefully it picks up tomorrow, but I wouldn't expect it to. And then Wednesday is when things can get really volatile. It could be fireworks because usually that's where right when the rate decision is announced, whether people expect it, anticipate it or not, it just kind of wildly fluctuates. Plus, Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, will come out and give his color commentary, which could also cause some volatility. So hopefully that's helpful.